The big focus this week from yesterday, it's again, it's a big chunk of question time, certainly to start it, the March for Justice, and Labor trying to embarrass and scrutinise the Prime Minister's language yesterday.
Yeah, and I thought the opposition misfired a bit here, but I also got the sense that Scott Morrison doesn't quite have his mojo at the moment. A bit like after the bushfires, maybe not quite that bad, but he does seem to be struggling a bit, and that march yesterday is still hanging over the building today. But there's no doubt this clumsy declaration yesterday by the Prime Minister seeking to say we are lucky to be in a democratic country where people have the right to protest and not be shot was a stuff-up.
It is good and right, Mr Speaker, that so many are able to gather here in this way, whether in our capital or elsewhere, and to do so peacefully to express their concerns and their very genuine and real frustrations. This is a vibrant liberal democracy, Mr Speaker. Not far from here, such marches, even now, are being met with bullets, but not here in this country, Mr Speaker. Not here in this country. This is a triumph of democracy when we see these things take place.
So we learnt in question time today he's actually comparing this to Myanmar, but what a comparison. I mean, it's not really appropriate, is it? So Albanese smelt blood. He went for Morrison on this today. He then overreaches by talking about the Christchurch Massacre 2 years ago, hardly related.
Yesterday in question time, the Prime Minister said the more than 100,000 people who joined the Women's March for Justice around the country were lucky because in other countries they would be met by bullets. Rather than describe this as a triumph, why doesn't the Prime Minister listen to those who marched and take real action on gendered violence?
Sadly, it is the truth, as I was seeking only to represent yesterday, Mr Speaker, that in many countries, sadly, that is not the case. That is a cause for celebration of Australia's democracy. Mr Speaker, it may be not the matter that the Leader of the Opposition has had to turn much attention to recently, but as Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister and I have been involved on an almost daily basis with the issues that have been unfolding in Myanmar, Mr Speaker.
Does the Prime Minister regret that comment, particularly on the second anniversary of the Christchurch Massacre conducted by an Australian citizen?
Members on both sides.
The Leader of the Opposition has engaged, I think, in a very unworthy and egregious slur in this place. Mr Speaker, when has it been a bad thing for a Prime Minister to proclaim the strength of democracy in our country, Mr Speaker? What issue does the Leader of the Opposition have with celebrating democracy and the right to protest, Mr Speaker?